All right, welcome to the Spoiler Kings. My name is Tank Kramer. I am with Brian the Grizzly, Brandman Brandon, and if you can't tell, we're going to talk about Dune Part 2. We're going to give our thoughts, our likes, our dislikes, and our ratings. Um, yeah, yeah. So, Brian, do you have a synopsis, or
Oh, I
did you not
do.
get one yet?
Always. I was always
Okay.
ready.
All right. You're all ready to go? All right. Give us a quick breakdown what this one's about.
Oh. Paul Atreides unites with Shari, and the Freeman while seeking revenge against the conspirators who destroyed his family. Facing a choice between the love of his life and the fate of the universe, he must prevent a terrible future only he can foresee.
Mm.
And it's his
Go.
mama's fault. I said it.
You're not wrong.
Not wrong at all.
But cool, yeah. So this is the second half, obviously, to Doom Part 1. So yeah, so we're just gonna keep it to this part and not really too much of the second or first part. So Brandman, what did you like about this one?
First and foremost, holy crap. I'm not sure there's anything about this movie that I didn't like. I thought everything about this really, really worked. And as someone who absolutely loved Dune Part 1 from a couple years ago, I think it took everything about that movie that I really liked and just amped it up. I think everything about this just, was like epic in every sense of the word. All the actors brought their A game. I thought Denis Villeneuve directed the crap out of this. Just from you know a, a standpoint of cinematography. Hans Zimmer, who I think had been kind of all over the place with his quality of music. I think ever since Inception, he just stopped doing it for me as much. And then he really turned it around this time. Um, I thought, I felt really invested in the characters. Um, it really sold me on Austin Butler as an actor even more.
Yeah.
I always, ever since he came on the scene, he kind of reminded me of like a James Dean type, and he was really playing against type this time in that role. Like he brought the creepy, man. Everything about it. I'd watch more Dune. I'd watch more, or even if they decided not to move forward from here, I'd be completely satisfied. But it left me wanting more. But it left me content. I just, I was sitting like this the entire time. Like just glued to the screen. And I want to say to anyone who hasn't seen it, watch this on the biggest screen possible. That's the only way. um, I actually plan on going again the night that I get back in town. So yeah. It, like I said, it reminded me why I love cinema.
Yeah.
I think Denis Villeneuve is just killing it as a director. Like he's like with this, if he already wasn't solidified in like my top 5 directors, he definitely is now.
Okay.
Yeah, that is good. Okay, what about you, Brian? What you thoughts about it?
So I like the movie a lot. I think the movie was great. I think the actors were great. I think the actresses were great. I think the story was great. I thought it was done well. I like the pacing, except for a couple of parts were a little bit weird. The way it was kind of done. I didn't like with Paul and his power when he as he learned how to do stuff, and it was like fast forwarded and just didn't really understand the sense of timing for that. So I did have a problem with that. I think the movie was just really beautiful. I mean, cinematography was just off the chain. Just beautiful. How do you make all that sand and nothingness be another character within the movie? It is really just well done. I really do think that. But when everyone says the masterpiece, I think I disagree. And I said before we did like a short review on the movie on Thursday, and I kind of said I feel like there's something missing. There's something that was not exactly what I needed to be. And that's not saying that this movie is not. Once again, I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm not trying to say this is not a great movie. And probably will be the best movie I see this year. But when you're talking about all time greats, there's something about it that I did not like. And I know what it is now. And I can't wait to talk about it. But this is just a general, introduction to it. So I'll leave that for a little bit later.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm kind of curious now before. So if you're watching on the replay, you definitely got to start watching this live because I know we're gonna get into that conversation a little bit later. But yeah. I mean, the dislikes are. I don't know. I don't have any really. Like, but just this was a not. I can't say it's a perfect movie, but it's as near as a perfect as a movie for me as I can get. Because like the acting was absolutely insane. You had some of the like these big shot younger guys that are going to be on the scene for the next 30 years. Meanwhile, you still have like the guys from like old school, Christopher Walken, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, like Javier Bardem. Yeah, Skarsgard, like those guys have been doing it their whole life, so it's like seeing these like two like cool like super old veterans and like the new generation, with some of the bigger stars from the new generation coming together and just making this great story with everything. And then like Brandon said, Denis Villeneuve like absolutely crushed it with because he changed things from the book, and I thought the changes were better. I thought they were way better. They played better with the overall story, and he skipped a few things, he avoided a few things. Paul with the Baron, one thing, the sister thing, very different in this than it is in the book, but loved it all. But the whole time, just everything about it was the political intrigue and everything coming at us was just so nonstop in such a good way. And the whole time you're like am I on the side of believing in Paul, or am I on the side of him? Is he like using people? It's like, and it all depends on how you stand as a person. How do you see Paul? Is he the savior or is he a user? Is he a quote unquote colonizer? What some people are calling him. But yeah, so it is kind of. What was that?
He's definitely a colonizer.
I mean, that's what I think. Even from the book, I always got that. But there's still like a lot of people are like, oh, he's the dude. He's the savior. But yeah, but one shout out to Zendaya. This is the absolute best thing I ever seen Zendaya in. She was amazing in this. She was amazing.
I agree.
Between her and Timothee Chalamet together on screen, her in a little bit with the other characters.
Even then with them together, she is so dynamic. It's almost like she's carrying the scene, even though Timothee Chalamet is not bad. So into it, like you notice her more than you see him, and just that's
because I think she's the opposite of him, and she knew it and she played it so well, and she was amazing. She was amazing in this one, and I'm calling it now. I know it's like we're talking about last year's movies for Oscars is coming up in a week. She is going to be up for best probably supporting, I would assume.
Best actress, because she was a lead.
Was she a lead?
Yeah, I think she's the best. Oh
yeah, she should definitely be up for best actress, for sure. That's why I was like supporting, but no, she is a co-lead. Because that was amazing. She was amazing in this. But we're gonna finish things up with our ratings, which we do a now, later, never. Now means you gotta go watch it right now. It's worth every penny. Later means you can wait till it's at home streaming, and never means just skip it. It sucks. So I'm pretty sure I know what all you guys are gonna say. But Brandon, what are you giving it?
Oh, easily. This is a now.
Yeah.
This is like a now on steroids.
Yeah.
In experience, I think I think it's the only way. You got to see this in the theater, man. You got to see it on a huge screen. Don't settle for anything less than IMAX. I'm gonna go see this in the theater at this point at least 2 more times.
Yeah.
But
yeah, sorry,
like, oh no, you're fine. And I realized I was probably mispronouncing the gentleman's name, like I do a lot of things. Denis, is it Villeneuve? He just brought his A game, and I don't think there's anything better than when you can really feel a director's passion, and he's really putting his foot in it to deliver like the best movie that he can make. And I think that's why I really like him. So I think this is, even with the stuff that he makes in the future, like, it's going to be interesting to see if he outdoes himself. But he has my full attention. I think he absolutely crushed this. I really, really enjoyed this. It was like the most enjoyable theatrical experience I've had in a very, very long time. I can't sing enough of its praises. Yeah, this is easily a now, and then some.
Why are we, Brian?
It's a yesterday.
Yeah.
You don't understand what I'm saying. You should have already saw it. And if you haven't seen it yet, go see it, and then go see it again. You should see it multiple times. This is a multiple watch. I've already seen it 3 times. Because I really had to figure out what it was that I was feeling, and I figured that out. But this is a great movie. This is a cinematic master. It's not a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
It's master work. If that's different. If that's a difference, if anyone can understand it, master work better than masterpiece. Like, it's the best you could have done. Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong directing, producing, or anything like that. There's things that I feel like didn't flow exactly the right way. But it's a master work. It's what, if you're teaching a class, this is how you make a space opera. This is how you tell a story and build a world the correct way. This is what they did, and I think that's where we really get out of this whole movie. And then even having the idea that we call them the planet Dune now, we're at the end. I thought that was just perfect the way they did it. So it's yesterday for me, not now. Yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No surprise, it's a now for me as well. I've watched it 3 times now.
That's awesome.
It's just I can't get enough of it. Like, it's so freaking amazing. Agree with everything Brandon said about watching on the biggest possible screen. It's a cinematic, like, marvel on how they were able to make this look the way it did, be the way it did, have all these amazing actors, and the budget was under 200 million. Like,
can you believe that?
Is crazy.
Sand. No, it's a lot of sand.
There's a lot of sand. Think of a lot of it.
Man, a lot of sand. You go to the middle of Sahara and just deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. Like this. I know we're gonna get into a conversation. So if you're watching on replay, we're gonna get into our conversation. Nice. Man, that's worth some big money now. That thing's selling for like $60-$70 on Amazon, eBay. Yeah. But
I'm afraid to get it.
What is a masterpiece? But I can't call a movie that's been out for 5 days a masterpiece. Like, I just can't. It might be later on in a couple of years after I watch it a bazillion times. But that's a whole nother conversation of that. But like, a masterwork, I think, is a perfect wording for it. It is really, it's a marvel. It is a cinematic marvel, I think, because it got me excited. It just got me excited to go see awesome movies again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So cool. That's our thoughts with it. We stayed mostly spoiler free because we were going to get into conversation with chat, and we're going to talk about all the spoilers and all the little details and stuff like that. So again, if you're watching on replay, definitely click that like button, click that subscribe button, and come and join us live, so you don't have to wait for all the video and clips of the show. We appreciate you guys coming in and checking our review out on Dune Part 2. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about it. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Where would you rate it? A now, later, never. But we appreciate everyone hanging out with us live. Stick around because we got to move on to our next part of the conversation.